Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming to yet another great interview for the 2023 Business Connection Summit. Today we are talking to Michael Whitehouse, and we are going to be talking all about the power of having an amazing network. So Michael, if you could tell us who you are, what you do, and a little bit about what we're going to talk about today.
Sure. So I'm Michael Whitehouse. I am the guy who knows a guy and author of a book by the same name. I am a compulsive networker. I love meeting people. I love getting out there. When I don't know what to do, I just go meet more people. And that has resulted in having a substantial array of people I can count on and rely on. I make a lot of introductions to people that make people think I'm a pretty good guy because I've connected them to people. But it also means that I have interviewed over 400 entrepreneurs and met over 3,000-4,000, it's hard to keep track, thousands of them. And one of the really cool things about that is when you meet a lot of people, you'll learn a little bit about everything. So I'm always surprised people say, oh, I don't know how to, basic stuff, set up an email list, design a website, stuff like that. I'm like, how do you not know? Oh, right. You haven't spoken to 4,000 entrepreneurs because, I compulsively talk to people. So I just glean all this information. So there's a lot of power that comes from just meeting people and from helping them and building those relationships over time.
Absolutely, and that is exactly what we're going to be talking about. So thank you so much. First, let's get into a little bit about networking in general. What are the results that people can get? Let's lead with, kind of talking about why it's important to build our network, why it's important to have other people that we can connect with.
Sure. Well, and first it's important to talk about what networking is and is not. So networking has a bad name. I heard someone once say, don't go up and just network with them, pitch your thing. You actually want to build a relationship with them. And I was like, but networking is building a relationship. If you're pitching, you're not networking. So if you're going into a room saying, who can I sell in here? You're not networking, you're prospecting. Prospecting is a fully valid thing, but it's not networking. It's prospecting. Networking is about building relationships, building a network, thus networking. And generally, networking is about giving first. So it's about entering every situation saying, what can I give you rather than what can I get from you? You don't worry about what you're going to get back. You worry about how you can help and how you can support them. And then it comes back around. And when you're not keeping score and not worrying about, well, I made 2 introductions for you and you've made none for me, and you just help people as you can, what you're going to discover is people start saying things like, oh yeah, a few people I've talked to about you have said some nice things. So I'm surprised at this point by the people who come to me and say, oh yeah, I've heard some really good things about you. I'm like, you've heard things about me? Wow, because I know I've heard things about you, but you've heard things about me? Wow. And all I'm doing is just helping people where I can. And I don't mean like you build a website for them and spend 15 hours for free. I mean, if you know someone who can help them, you make that introduction. If there's a way you can support them, you make that introduction. In fact, Bill, that's how we met. That
Absolutely.
Someone that we knew in common said, oh, Bill, you should talk to Michael. I think that'd be a good connection for you. And it was. So, but, there's nothing expected in return. I think I've made some connections for him. I'm not sure. But it's about going and always just giving and assuming, basically treating everyone as if they've done something for you and you're returning the favor. So I assume everyone's my friend until they prove they're not. And that's proven out very well because people are then willing to return the favor. So if I do reach out to someone and I say, hey, could you introduce me to someone? Can you do something for me? Now I've got that. Whether or not I've helped them individually or not, they know that I've supported other people. And they know if they need something, they return it. So networking is really about building that community. And then the intangible benefit is just being surrounded by people who think you're pretty cool. Positive energy that creates. If you're always like, all right, well, I'll make one introduction for you if you make one introduction for me, but it better pay off, then you've got this very, adversarial vibe. You've got this win-lose vibe. Whereas effective networking creates this positive, abundant vibe, energy, that when you're talking to people, it's just a positive experience. It's less stressful. It's more fun. It's more connecting. And another benefit is one of the epidemics in our world is loneliness, especially for entrepreneurs. We're not going to the office and seeing our coworkers. So having a network is almost vital, because a networking is intentionally creating what used to come about organically when we lived in a town of 1,000 people and we'd go to the town square and into the marketplace and meet people there. Now we have to do it on purpose because our culture doesn't do it accidentally and incidentally. So we have to do it intentionally. And networking is creating the connections that used to exist through culture for the last 2 million years, because we have an isolating, digital, sanitized culture. So networking replaces that.
Absolutely. And you touched on a lot of great things that I think really build a foundation of what networking truly is and can be. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we really need to take that to heart, because it's how we as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur or someone who's just kind of getting started really start building that success, because those connections will turn into power partners. And then as you have employees potentially replace those power partners, now they can turn into referral partners. And as you get more business, those relationships can grow into mergers and all sorts of other things that can come down the line. So it's really important to have a network, because we can't do everything and we need to be able to refer people out. And the stronger those ties are, the better and the more strong our company and business are going to be. So now that we kind of have an idea of the benefits that we can kind of do, I want to talk a little bit about how networking has developed, and especially since 2020, it's changed a lot of how networking has really grown in the world. So let's go into like some of the different types of networking that are out there, how some new things that have developed, new ways that people are making those connections.
Yeah, so the internet truly hit scale in 2020. What happened in the 90s, the invention of the World Wide Web, is suddenly these niche communities could start connecting. So if you were into something that 1,000 people were into, you're probably the only person in your county who was. But the internet came about, you discovered chat boards, you discovered message boards, and you could form communities around that. But there was still limited because it was just text, it was just chat, it was just email. Then social media came around, that effect became a bit stronger. But now we have video communication. Now we have what AT&T promised us in those commercials back in the 80s, that we could connect to people around the world at will as if they were across the room. So networking has now done for the business community, and especially the abundant-minded business community, what it's done for a lot of other communities, that you can now connect to anyone, anywhere, and you're not limited to the people in your local community. Because the problem is, a lot of people in business don't understand abundance-minded thinking. They don't understand win-win. They don't understand things aren't a zero-sum game. So they're just looking to take. They want, networking is, how can I get some business? And the more enlightened networkers in a lot of these local communities are, how can I get referrals for some business? I'm not going to pitch everyone in the room. I'm going to try to get the people in the room to refer people to me. All right, it's a little more advanced. That's like 5th grade level instead of 1st grade level. But you can find the people who are really abundance minded, the ones thinking win-win, the ones thinking don't keep score, the ones thinking give without expectation, receive without resistance. People like that, you can now find online in a lot of these virtual networking spaces. Now, the challenge is, of course, a lot of the scarcity-minded people are also in the virtual networking spaces, but they don't tend to stick around because they don't get much out of it. They come in, they pitch, they don't make any money, they say networking sucks, and they leave. So it's a self-filtering system, which is kind of nice, but there's always new ones coming in. So you need to be selective of which networking groups you join and make sure that you like the people who are in there. And here's one piece of advice I'll give, because you may join a networking group that's been around for a few years and you're new to networking. You say, well, what do I know? Yeah, I don't find it comfortable and it feels a bit pushy and salesy, but what do I know? I'm new and they've been around for a while. Well, don't be intimidated. If you go into a group and you don't like the energy, leave. There, you could attend a networking event 3 times a day, every day, 365 days a year on the internet, because they're everywhere and they're all accessible to everyone. So if one doesn't fit, try another one. If that doesn't fit, try another one. Can't find one? Start your own. A networking group could be as simple as you invite every cool person you want to network with onto a weekly or monthly Zoom call. You start by going around and introducing yourselves, and then maybe you do breakouts, or you do, share a presentation or whatever. There's no wrong way to do it, as long as you're there to make connections and people have a way to connect and to follow up and to have follow-up meetings and whatnot. The internet, as I always say, you don't connect to the internet, you connect through the internet. So the internet is a tool that lets us connect to people that we couldn't previously connect with. But it's all about going to those events where the right people are going to be and networking with them. And the amazing thing that's happened is it is less expensive to get in the right room than it's ever been. It used to be there were these rooms of people that you wanted to be in, and it would be $5,000 for the ticket, plus the plane, plus the hotel, plus taking a week off of work, plus. Now there are some amazing rooms of people that are just Zoom calls. Some of them are free if you know the right people and get invited. And a lot of these they invite based on mindset, not bank account. So they're saying, are you a giving person? Do you have a network? Are you willing to connect? Okay, come on in. If you have a 7-figure mindset, it doesn't matter if you have a 7-figure bank account. Whereas the old days used to be $10,000 to come in. If you can afford to pay the admission, you can come. And there's still events like that. There's still virtual things like that. There's the philosophy of pay more money to get into better rooms, wash, rinse, repeat is certainly valid. But if you're not at the point where you can afford thousands of dollars for these, you can get access to some amazing spaces. But when you get access to those spaces, understand that, approach with the appropriate humility, that you are meeting with very smart people who have very great connections, and you are there to learn, and you are there to serve as you can, which you can, because if you happen to meet 5 highly successful people, by the time you're talking to the 5th one, if he doesn't know any of the previous 4, you can make a valuable introduction, because you now know 5 highly successful people who may or may not know each other. So there's a lot of opportunity for someone with the right mindset who comes to serve in this internet age.
I agree. And I think that that really has opened up a lot of what people can accomplish and where they can go from. And I was actually talking in another interview that we did with on global expansion and stuff for companies. A lot like that is way more accessible to a lot more people, because they can connect with people in different areas. They can connect with people in different markets, and really find the people that they need to in a less expensive way for as well as other things. So I think that one other piece that was definitely another topic part is that with networking, I think that some people need to understand that this is also how you have to bring it onto social media. And it was definitely something that clicked with me a while back. And we need to see social media interaction the same as networking. We need to build value. We need to build upon, leading with humility, like you said, and offering connections and things like that, because that's what's going to make social media click for you and get those people off. Because now they're not going to see you as trying to sell to them. Now they're not going to just be like, well, you just keep putting crap in front of me and I don't really know anything about you. So definitely, let's talk a little bit more about that too, with that perception, how to kind of interact with it, and how networking can play into those places as well.
Yeah. One of the great things about modern times is we have more communications tools that are free or very low cost than ever before. Business people from the 60s, if they could see what you have in 2023, they blow their minds, because I can send an email and have 750 people read it. Now, that's not a massive email. Now, that's how many people open it, not how many people I send it to. That's not a massive email list by email list standards, but think about how many people in history could reach 750 people at will with a message. Like, that's a pretty powerful reach. And, we hear about like, well, a million people and a billion people. And yeah, you're not Facebook. You're not Mark Zuckerberg. If you can reach 750 people, that's pretty cool. Now, how do you keep them coming back? So one of the things I found is that as I was networking, I was meeting hundreds and hundreds of people. I can't follow up and maintain relationships with hundreds of people. I don't have time to get on calls with all of them and build these deeper relationships, but I wanted to stay in touch with them. And I realized social media was a model for that. That's basically what social media is for. You have 4,000 friends on Facebook. Well, they're not really friends, but they're kind of friends. Why do you post on Facebook? Because your friends are going to see it. And maybe one of them who you haven't talked to in 5 years will see a post and say, oh, yeah, we should talk about that. Let's connect on that point. But the only way you do that is if you provide value and engagement throughout all the time when they're not interested in the thing they're seeing. And that's how I use my email list as well. That I don't use it to pitch. It's not just like, buy my stuff. Do you have a problem? Let me walk you down the problem solution path to the value ladder to the funnel. I'm telling stories. I'm being me. I'm letting you get to know me better, even if I'm promoting a partner. I'm telling, the email I sent out this morning, it's a picture of my mint garden and talking about how I have mint freedom because I never need to work for Mint again. And that's promoting a financial freedom program with mint as a metaphor. But that was me. It's a picture of me and my mint garden and tying it in, because you don't want just like pitch. And I realized the email list could be the tool to stay in touch with all these people I was meeting. So I'll meet with someone, we'll have a conversation. Maybe it goes somewhere. Usually it doesn't go somewhere immediate. But then I ask if I can add them to my email. I call it an email community. And then they get message from me where I'm sharing my stories and talking about my daughter and talking about my family and talking about my mint garden and business opinions and things I learned and things that I can teach, and just sharing different things that are going on. And I get people replying all the time, not about like, I want to buy your stuff, but just about like, yeah, I had a story like that, or that reminds me of my daughter, or, human stuff. Humans want to connect with humans. And with social media and email used like social media, you can create that human connection. You can create content where people are consuming it and they feel like they're your friend because they are. And if you approach networking and from the standpoint of everyone is my friend and I'm going to respond to anyone who engages with me like they're my friend, then you could have a kind of community of friends by using social media that way. So if you spoil that by using your social media or email to be all pitch, buy my stuff, let me tell you a case study about this person who 10x their program and made $74,000 and who wants my secret formula, then people are going to see you as a pitchy guy. People are going to see you as a desperate salesman, and maybe they'll see you as a competent expert in whatever you're selling. If you nail it exactly, more likely they'll see you as desperate salesperson who might also be an expert selling something they probably don't need, and they'll tune you out. But if you can position yourself as a human who happens to also have expertise, then you're going to create that engagement. And then you're going to keep them paying attention and coming back. And eventually, months or even years later, they may say, yes, I'd like to come to your event. Like, yes, I want to come to your webinar. Yes. People, most of my coaching clients, if someone reached out to me and said, hey, do you do coaching? And I say, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. Why? Would you like me to coach? And they're like, yeah, I think I would like that. I don't usually offer, occasionally I offer it, but for the most part, I'm not selling coaching. It's just one of the things that is available. People like me. They like my vibe. They're like, I need a coach. I bet he does coaching. He does call himself a coach sometimes. Let's see if I can hire him. And that's a much better way to build a network. And that also solves the problem of how do you follow up with 1,000 people? You do it on a community. You publish your own newspaper effectively. And it's the
Absolutely.
newspaper of you.
And I think you touched on a really good point there as well, to kind of tie this all together, is the perception you're now putting out there of who you are and what you do, and who you're attracting to be your clients are people that are going to stay. They're going to be retained. They're going to be repeat clients. They're going to feel comfortable with you. And
Mhm.
it takes away a lot of those stresses of, this person was unhappy because they felt like they just rushed into it, or this person wants their money back because they realized it's too expensive. Now you're running into things where they're more of like, yeah, it was expensive, but it was worth every penny because I know the guy, I
Mhm.
know the person, I know who they are, and I was referred to this person that I trust, and that is what I built the foundation of all this worth to begin with from. And then as we started working together, he delivered on it, or she delivered on it, or they delivered on
Yep.
it. And I really appreciate the fact that, you know, they they they're delivering on what they put out there. So it creates a strength and a bond that I think really makes working with the client, supplying the client with what they need, and all of that just so much easier.
And even if there's a problem, they know you, so they're not just gonna run over to their credit card company and do a chargeback. They're gonna send you a message and say, "Listen, I'm not happy with this," and you're like, "Oh my God, let's work this out," because it's human to human. And that's the thing. You can, if you have that human connection, that's where I find a lot of companies get in trouble too, and the scale problem as well. Is somebody's dissatisfied and they're dealing with the customer service person who's like, "Sorry, no refunds." And if you're not hearing about it, then that's an issue. So, but if you are a small entrepreneur, that's why a lot of people like to stay small entrepreneurs. They don't want to have a sales team. They don't want to have a customer service team because they want to have those relationships. So especially for those of you who are the solopreneur or the solopreneur, plus some VAs who support with some activities and whatnot, leverage that. If you're the one who's doing your own sales calls and you're the one doing your own customer service, then get the benefit of that and be a human in your branding so that when they're dealing with you and they're still dealing with the human, let people know that if you have an issue, you're talking to me, not some, guy in Mexico or the Philippines reading off a script. People, especially today, actually, I remember back in 1998, somebody told me the phrase high tech, high touch. 1998, they were saying things are getting so technological and so separated that people want human connection. This was before social media. This is before, most of the web that we know, they were talking about this. And now, my God. So the more human you can be, the more of a connection you can provide to you as a person, the more people are going to appreciate that, the more they're going to want to refer you, stay with you. And hey, you can have people who join your program and they're like, I don't even know if I really need this thing, but I really like the vibe. I like the energy in it. So I'm going to stick around because it's not too expensive and it's a good community. So I'm going to stay here because I like the people.
Absolutely. And I think that that really is the power of what we're talking about here with building your network. So thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate you diving into this with me and really helping us talk about the power of this. So to wrap everything up, please tell us how people can reach out to you and connect with you and get in contact.
Well, if they go to guywhoknowsaguy.com, similar to what's up here, then there's a little box on that page where they can contact me. They can also, if you want to get a free e-copy of the book, you can fill out the form there, just drop your email in there, and you will be sent an electronic copy of The Guy Who Knows a Guy as my gift.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you again for watching this interview. We will see you all in the networking event tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.